Happy day everybody. I'll be handling the topic developmental processes. One day you'll all become a parent, teacher or in some way connected to a child's life. So it is your responsibility to be a mentor and a guide for rearing a child. So this topic has got an objective and these are the objectives. To describe human development and how its study evolved. Describe the domains and periods of human development. You might be wondering what is a human development. Human development is the continuous gradual process starting from consumption and ending till the end of life. Human development has got its history and history shares that evidences that there are many ways in which child were reared in olden days. The ancient Egyptians, Greek and Romans were rearing the children with rich consumptions. In this current recent past, three philosophers have given their own views on child development and they are original sin view, tabula rasa view and innate goodness view. Let us look into these views one by one. First one, original sin view, talks about how a child is born as an evil being in this world. And it was given by Augustine and he says that a parent's role is to make the bad behaviors taken and removed from the child and make him a better person. And then we have this tabula rasa view which says that a child is not born as a bad person, he is not very good also, but in a moderate way the parents need to nurture and bring him as a good person. And we have this innate goodness view which was given by Jean-Jacques Rousseau and he says that a baby is born to this world as a very good person and it is a responsibility of the parents to give minimal mentoring and give him a good nurturance and they have to grow naturally. So these historical views were taken to the 1800s and slowly these philosophical views shifted from philosophy to modern science with major theories and techniques evolving. By 19th century, all these philosophical theories faded away and gave birth to psychological approaches with a lot of systematic observation and experimentation. But these systematic observation and experimentation were majorly into physics, chemistry, biology and those streams and not per se related to the psychological approaches. So it was a debatable topic and many ethical dilemmas started occurring. And it was during the time that French psychologist Alfred Binet came into the picture and he assessed the child's development with the help of attention and memory. And he did this assessment for children with mental retardation, learning disability, normal children, gifted children, etc. He was the first person to devise intelligence test. And this during the same time we had one more person who was Stanley Hall. He devised the questionnaire method to assess the child development. Slowly what happened, the research centers at the universities of Iowa, California, Minnesota took care of these researchers and they started devising questionnaires and identifying children's ability to play with other children, how they will be in their friendship patterns forms and all these were taken into consideration. And these historical developments only gave rise to the other observations, and through these observations we identify that child development is not per se an individual growth, or it has got its own individual differences as well as shared uniqueness. So this shared uniqueness is what we see through the developmental processes. We have three developmental processes, one biological process which includes the brain growth, height, weight gain and cell growth. And the next one is the cognitive processes, and this includes the processes relevant to thought, language and thinking patterns. So we have an example here wherein the baby is paying attention to the sound of a familiar voice, which is a cognitive process, and we have newborns busy decoding the visual world. Their ability to see the visual world is again a cognitive process. Then we have the socio-emotional processes, wherein the processes include how an infant identifies and make relationship with another person. And here some examples will be like how a baby is comforted when he is picked up, feels secure with adults in the immediate circle, is comfortable when touched, can show delight in a situation by smiling, etc. So these developmental processes are not unique, concrete processes. They are in an interrelated processes. And we have an example. I'll explain with an example. A baby smiling to parents' touch. Here we find that touch is a biological processes, and the ability of the baby to react to the touch is the parents' touch is the cognitive process, and the baby smiling is the response to the touch, and which is a socio-emotional process. These processes are again grouped under domains of development. We have physical development, cognitive development, and psychosocial development. All the biological processes are grouped under physical domain. Cognitive processes are grouped under cognitive domain. Socio-emotional processes are grouped under the psychosocial domain. These child development are further grouped under periods of development based on the age ranges. So based on the age range, we have prenatal period, which is starting from consumption till birth. And then we have infancy, which is starting from 18 to 24 months. And then we have early childhood, which is from 2 years to 6 years. Continued by middle and late childhood from elementary school to 11 years, followed by adolescent period extending up to 19 years. So these stages helps us to understand that there is a unique systematic way of development happening in a child. But there are also individual differences which is explained through issues in development. When it comes to issues and development, we have two issues. One is nature versus nurture debate. Two is continuity versus discontinuity. So let's look into the first one, which is nature versus nurture debate. Nature versus nurture debate helps us to understand how heredity and environment influences a child development. So for example, language development, the ability of the child to have more than 2 to 3 languages when he is around 3 years old. So this is an example. So according to nature's view, it seems child has got the intellectual ability to have this language, more than 2 languages at 3 years of age. And according to nurture view, they say environment influences. For example, the exposure of the child to an environment where there is 3 to 4 languages prevailing, so the child is able to grab 2 to 3 languages, and ability for the child to speak is also improved. So we understand that nature also could be a facilitating influencing factor. Nurture also could be an influencing factor. So we come to an understanding that both nature and nurture are equivalently important. And then we have this continuity and discontinuity factor. So here continuity means gradual, systematic and quantitative way of development, and discontinuity is the uneven way of development happening, which is qualitatively happening. So for example, child developing a language at 2 to 3 years, the child will be able to get an understanding of 2 to 3 words in the memory of the child. So this memory for 2 to 3 words is quantitatively measured, and this we can say is a continuity process where it is measurable and it is quantitative. And we have the discontinuity where they say developing a language starts and it's still unexplored as to when a child with a non-verbal ability becomes a verbal child. So that is still unexplored, and a lot of researches are done even now. So this is a qualitative measure which can be assessed through questionnaires and other experimental methods. So these are still under research, and many experimentation and observations are even still done. And we have a lot more to do with these development happening. So these are done through a lot of researchers and experimentations. And so I conclude here with thank you so much.